Hello everybody, I'd like to introduce you to Mark. Mark is the skeleton that me and my friend have purchased off of one of those internet reseller stores. Mark for Halloween is dressed up as Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, and he plays guitar. The whole system is triggered by a through beam infrared sensor. That starts in motion a audio file, and then I have a servo controlling his mouth to sync up with the words, make it look like he's singing. And then I have a horizontal motion mover here hooked up to his hand, so it looks like he's playing guitar. Let's see how it looks. So there's one of 8 tracks he will play. It just goes in order of sequence. The audio trigger board I have just cycles through track 0 through track 7 depending on which one you trigger. So this will be track 2. It got dark out at Halloween, so I put these LED strips on them, and those are wired in parallel with the reverse output motor, so whenever his hand moves back down towards the guitar, the lights will turn on. Let's see how it all works. So this is the control box for the robot. The whole brains of the operation is this Direct Logic 205 PLC. It's a programmable logic controller. It's used in industry. I pulled it out of a field retrofit. So there's a bunch of unused inputs in it, but I am using there's 2 relay output cards, and there's a analog input card right here. So the relay outputs, these top 4 control the motor forward and reverse. This is the output for the servo, which just closes the contact. We'll get back to that. This whole card is an 8 output card. It's wired into this audio trigger board, and all it does is each one of these 8 inputs here gets shorted to ground, and that decides which track to play. So that's powered by a hacked 12 to 5 volt car charger wired to this USB mini cord, which is coming off of this 12 volt DC power supply. This also runs the motors, and this power supply is taking 120 volts, powering the backplane of the PLC, and also giving out 24 volts DC, which is being used for the infrared transmitter and receiver. So the infrared transmitter is an NPN signal, or PNP, I forget, but it's outputting about 6 volts, so I put in this 5 volt relay into a resistor, and that's giving a 16 milliamp signal into the analog input card, because I didn't feel like buying a DC input for it. So I'm just doing a comparison on current in the PLC to trigger the whole thing into motion. Taking a look at the back of the robot, pull up a shirt here, and you will see the chaos that is the wires in the back. So we have all the motor controls and the limit switch. I just screwed this terminal block into the back of the guitar, and you can see the LEDs are hanging off of here. I put a diode in there to make sure I don't reverse bias the LEDs with 24 volts. That would be bad. Actually, no, these run on 12. We have a separate power supply from this cord, which is just your standard phone charger, into the MSP 430 Launchpad by Texas Instruments. I was going to use this board, but I don't have the full 3.5 volts necessary, so the program I ran on this board doesn't work on this board because the clock speed is different with a lower voltage, so I just kind of jumped everything together. So this is just jumped over, connecting the ground and the trigger output directly into the servo ground wire, and that's a 5-volt regulator to power the servo, which comes up to his neck, and that's all just zip tied on as well. I used a relatively simple linkage system here from this servo. Basically it opens about 45 degrees to open and close his mouth. So that little direct pulse output is just going to the MSP 430 board and just switching between the signals to tell the servo to go 0 and 45 degrees. Down on his playing hand, we have a 12-volt DC motor turning a timing belt, which is attached to a piece of DIN rail, which is wrapped around the guitar and then zip tied to his hand. On the back here I also have a limit switch to make sure it doesn't over travel, and you'll see at the end of each movement sequence his hand always resets. This is the 0 position, this is where I know it is. I didn't have time or the resources to put a limit switch on this end, though I would have really liked to have one there. So that's about it. Mark the Skeleton dressed up as Dave Grohl. Christmas he'll be playing Santa Claus, and probably next year he'll be whatever artist we choose. The whole thing looks like a mess because it is, but hopefully I'll have some more time to clean it up and make everything a lot better. Resync the hand movements, maybe put in that other limit switch, but so far it worked great. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.